Hello, party people. You gotta send this tweet out right now. Welcome back. I gotta stop this from peeking. It's the only way to do it. I gotta stop it from peeking somehow. I know it's peeking. It's yelling at me. Welcome to that. This thing, Bonfire Lit Comfy Cast. It's happening again. We got news. We got shit to talk about. I just need people to talk about it with. Speaking of...
God, I wish
Where the goons?
Hello. Oh, the goons.
Pokey?
Bash.
Hello, Pokey. You joined whilst I was not here.
Yes.
But that's okay. We can add you to the roll call.
Yes. Forewarning, I don't know when I'm going to have to be swept away, but I'm gonna stay here for as long as I can.
Okay, that works. So. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I am gay.
So. Let's start off as we do, as we need to, as we always should, with the YUNG week roundups. Because we've not been doing this for a hot minute. We need to figure out what's been going on in our lives. Who would like to lead off? Just kidding, I don't care, Pokey. You go.
Fuck. I just got shotgun. Alright.
Yeah.
Well, I've been playing some video games.
Oh, have you?
Oh, I've been playing some video games.
Of what type?
Well, thanks to a certain benefactor, I've been able to dip my very perverse fingers into biking.
Okay.
Through some Guilty Gear Exert Revelator dose.
Okay.
And I love it. It feels really fucking good. I'm very happy.
Talk to me about how much better it feels over Sign.
Here's the thing, like, it's definitely a weird step from Sign. Because, when I got Sign, I was blown away by what it already was to begin with. And I was very happy with what I had. But, of course, I was still lamenting over the fact, way back then, that biking had not been put into fucking Exert yet.
Right.
Biking's my bitch. Biking is... like, Guilty Gear, to me, feels naked and empty without her. But I still enjoyed things. I thought, Sin was fun, I love the way Soul and Kai played, etc. The typical generic shit you'd expect me to say, because I really did enjoy the way Sign played. But then the moment when said benefactor was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Get rid of this archaic shit. And then suddenly Revelator 2 was tossed in my lap. Holy fuck. They made improvements.
Yeah.
It was even... I didn't know it could get better. It got better.
It got a lot better.
I didn't know that was possible.
They put Jam in the game. It got a lot better.
Jam's very, very fun. She's more fun. I personally find her to be more fun now than ever before. Biking is tough as fucking nails, and I lose essentially every single match. I'll get a round here or there, but I lose most matches. As said benefactor can vouch for, my massive fucking lose streak on biking. I don't care though. I'm having a blast playing her.
Oh, good.
Oh, I love her. I'm playing Beckon.
Okay.
Beckon Bevan.
So, okay.
If I'm to not act like a retard, Tekken 7, which I am also loving. And unlike Guilty Gear, in which I pretty much just try to dedicate myself entirely to biking, with Tekken I've been more amorphic with who I pick from the roster.
Right.
Essentially, I just always avoid ever picking Gigas or Jack 7.
Okay.
Pretty much anyone else on the roster I'll play, and I've been enjoying that tremendously. What other video games? Oh, right. Touching Bayonetta every so often on PC.
Okay.
Very slowly getting had to burn through the normal mode just because I played so much Bayonetta on Wii U that, like, going back to it on PC kind of chorish.
Yeah.
Just because it's like I already been there, done that.
Yeah, there's so much content to unlock, yeah.
That too, yeah. There is so much fucking. I mean, that's not even like a bad thing, but like, what a wonderful problem to have.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, I have so much shit to unlock. Oh, boo.
I wish more games had that problem.
I really do too. I wish I could have been like, man. Oh, I have to go through 5 unique stories in Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition. I wish that was a problem.
Yeah, you and me both. I have to fight 5 unique windows, dude. I gotta unlock the special Windex.
Get the
Get the Windex, boy.
Get the window out, please.
Delete the
Itsuno,
window.
you should have known to get rid of the fucking window.
No, but the window though. But the story though.
It's fucking.
Could you, like, hold on. This just occurred to me. Why the fuck does Dante get Devil Trigger from fighting Virgil, but Nero gets it from fighting a window? What kind of gay shit is that? I can't believe it.
Oh, I never even put that together.
Like,
that's painful.
And like in DMC1, he gets it by getting stabbed in the chest. Like that's cool.
Oh,
and this one, he just beats the shit out of a window and he gets bodies.
Oh, yeah, no, window does not. Oh, you can't really equate a window to fucking Alistair, yeah.
Imagine spending so much energy on breaking a window that you don't see the obvious side swipe attack until it's too late.
And then a Gladius stabs you in the ribs, and you're like, "Oh, this is where my DT comes from." It feels so epic. Thank God. I'm really pissed because this fight sucks. That's how it happened.
I'm really mad because they keep doing the upside down camera angle, and it looks really bad.
Fuck. Yeah, that's man. Okay, Bayonetta. Good stuff.
Great game.
Have I been anything else? Just been playing a lot of Tekken and Guilty Gear mostly. So.
We fighting games now.
I mean, I'm still casual as fuck. I'll never deny that, but I've been enjoying myself with them because, like, for the first time, I'm finding fighting games again that I can just hop into and love.
You know, honestly, the death of Street Fighter V has been such a boon. I just can't wait for KI to come out on PC for real this time.
Yeah,
I can't wait for the PC release of Killer Instinct, dude. It'll be such a good PC port. I can't wait.
Yeah, it'll actually have me inside. Man, like, thank God that it's coming to a platform that I'm going to give a shit about this time.
Thank God. I hope Russians steal my account this time.
Don't ever hope that. Customer service won't be there for you.
I watch as they're there for me.
Yeah, right.
Vash
right,
TSB,
right.
we are currently in talks with Putin. We are giving you your credentials back now.
As we speak, we know it's you. This isn't going to take 2.5 months to a year and a half.
No, not even.
Not even. Can't wait for Geese and Tekken 7. Yeah, dude.
That'd be great.
God, yeah.
Soon.
I'm still hoping for Fatal Fury versus Guilty Gear. Let that be a thing.
I'm still hoping for good game versus Street Fighter.
Oh man, could you imagine a new fucking Capcom versus SNK?
Could you imagine a new Marvel versus Capcom? They can't. Could you imagine new assets?
Are we gonna be talking about that?
Fuck,
it's not really anything to talk about.
Fucking Firebrand. Okay, Dax, be honest. Did you give a fuck about Firebrand or Dormammu in 3?
No.
Dormammu.
You played Dormammu?
Yeah, I love Dormammu.
Okay. Do you care about the new version? Did they change anything that you could notice?
They haven't shown anything.
There you go. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go.
I never touched either character before. I'm not likely to touch him now.
Oh my god! Yes, Three Ugly versus Lazy. Ed, that was fantastic.
So, just nothing to go on yet until the next event where they're gonna actually show the gameplay.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I'm really hoping that the last slot where they say death, I'm really hoping it's Maximo Death. I'm still betting on that. Give me Maximo Death.
My fidget spinner broke.
Oh, that's a shame.
So anyway, speaking of fidget spinners, my Dax, I would like for you to talk to me about what you've been up to.
Bowling.
Okay.
Playing Burby.
Burby.
Not actually playing Burby.
What incarnation did the demon take this time? Talk to me. We can help you.
I wish I was actually playing Burby. Nah, I've been working on KH2 stuff. Got I was spending a couple days working on that
Core.
tutorial. Nah, core a little bit, and then just for fucking around, just like I've been wanting to do more runs and stuff, but I can't. Like, I just can't get my internet to be consistent enough for long streams like that. Especially earlier in the day when I'm able to do it, because my time is just really divided throughout the day. I don't have any like full days right now.
Right.
So it's just like most of the time my stream will end because the internet just starts like not entirely cutting out, but it'll just get jittery to the point where I can't keep a stream up and I gotta stop.
Right.
So which is nice to do core because it's like 5-minute runs, and if I have to stop, then whatever. But worked on that Luxord shit, dealing with the current patch issues, and got a tutorial out for that, which people seem to really appreciate, so that was nice.
Good.
And other than that, I've been going back and trying to get all the relics and gems and shit and Crash.
Yeah. Good meme.
That game's a really good meme. God, sorry if
I'm sorry. What was? Yeah.
It's still fun.
Are you sure?
But it's more of a like.
Yeah.
Like the only reason I don't just go play the original Crash one is because I just don't want to get my PS3 out, and like because I only have it on the PSN download version.
Right.
And I don't want to like get out my PS3.
But why don't you just put the PS1 disc in the PS4?
Oh.
Wait.
Oh.
Well, that would be a good idea.
That would be a great idea.
If they change that 0 to a 1, my nigga, and just let me do it. But no. Played some of that. I don't know. The game's good, but whatever. And let's see. What the fuck else have you know? It's so goddamn busy.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something else I'm forgetting. I don't know why I am.
Well,
I think we've all been playing a game that we forgot that we've been playing.
I never forget the games I've been playing, especially when they piss me off so fucking bad.
Yeah.
God. Fuck Pyre, dude. So, okay, since the last cast, Supergiant Games' new RPG Pyre dropped. I've started my third playthrough, which is what I'm dubbing the fail through, and fuck this game. It, like, actually upsets me what they fucking do. So, Pokey, you can attest to this. So do you have to live with your fuck-ups and, like... So, okay, let's say you're playing a D&D campaign, right? And, like, let's say you hit a fail state somehow. Don't you have to suffer the consequences of that fail state?
Yeah, that's actually part of the fun.
Yeah.
For instance, like you say, D&D, if someone dies, you either gotta fucking spend the money to get them resurrected, or you kill them off entirely and you just start a brand new character.
Yeah.
If you fuck up in terms of, like, failing a portion of a dungeon, well, it's either going to kill your party or you're going to have to fucking start from a very, very dangerous spot. Yeah, all sorts of shit. Yeah, failure is a part of the fun, so, yes.
So, imagine Pyre. Okay, that's unfair. Let's say this fictional Supergiant Games RPG that doesn't actually exist had a system where if you lost Sports Ball, the story would continue.
Right.
You might think to yourself, okay, so maybe if I lose a Sports Ball, something interesting is going to happen, and like, the path might split.
Something of consequence. Right.
Yeah, something of... So let's just imagine that didn't happen.
Oh. Ooh.
So, there's something very important in Pyre called liberation rights. And without spoiling, like, the name itself gives itself away, but basically, like, like everything is leading up to several liberation rites that happen throughout the course of the story. And they are supposedly based off of your performance in the rites, like being able to gain the summit to get the opportunity to participate in the rites. The only problem is, though, I went what was my record? 0-9 in this playthrough. And sure as shit, I still gained the summit. And if I actually, like, played it, I would have won. And I would have actually gotten the liberation.
Right.
So, it seems as though, at this point, I'm still experimenting. But it looks like you can just, like, your actual shit in the overworld straight up does not matter, as far as getting access to the only thing in the game that does matter.
That's kind of disappointing, especially after other things you've described to me regarding the story that I won't repeat due to the,
Yeah,
spoilers. It's just, I'll say this, it feels as if they could have been more flexible with this.
Oh, fuck
And
yeah.
made consequences matter, yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, look, there's, like, Pyre is definitely an indie project still. It's definitely made by 12 people. And if they ran out of, like, the ability to split the branch content-wise, I would find that completely believable. It's still frustrating as shit. But it's, yeah. It, like, everything that happens in the overworld really feels like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, that's fun.
Yeah, I won't ever, like, shit on Supergiant for having indie project limitations. I mean,
No,
it makes sense.
That,
But
that's just
still,
unfair.
it truly does. Disappointing if considering what you're explaining with your failure playthrough. And before I say anything further, and I mean, no one's even said this in the chat, but I'm gonna sort of try to nip something in the butt. Yes, I am aware that the whole me saying failure is a part of the fun thing isn't a literal translation to, yeah, fuck up all the time. That's a part of the fun thing. No, you do have an investment in what you're doing. It's just, you can turn you can turn lemons into lemonade. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
It puts you into a different situation.
Yeah.
And having to deal with it instead of just dying is, like, cool. But,
Yeah, it's fine. You died. It's okay. Nothing of consequence will happen to that. Yeah.
So, anyway, playing... What else came out? I haven't been playing much Devil May Cry 4 recently. Mostly because my time has been divided between Pyre, Guilty Gear, and Aztez. Although Aztez has sort of come to a halt after my, like, second or third session with it. Not really for any fault of its own. I still want to get back to it, but it's just there's... Like, Pyre has definitely become a thing where I just want to get through it. But, I don't know. We'll see.
That Aztez was a surprise joy for you.
Absolutely. So, like, for those of you who have who do I play in Exert? So there's a reason that jam matches are on screen right now.
You can't stop thought cooking.
I love Jam Kuradoberry. She is my favorite English waifu. Oh my god. This girl is scouring the countryside looking for boys and cooking fried rice. That's lit. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That's awesome. But what was I on about? So Aztez, if you guys haven't bought it or are thinking about buying it, okay, here's the thing. If you're thinking about picking it up for the action game elements, here's what I can say. The actual combat itself is surprisingly technical, in the sense of, like, execution can definitely matter if you let it. Things like doing instant airs and things like that on, like, grounded opponents to recapture. So it's a 2D beat-em-up. So you're, like, if anybody's played Onikira or any of the other, like, recent action games that have come out that have been 2D, the combo system is surprisingly easy to abuse, to the point to where it's like, if you hit confirm something into an air juggle or even a ground combo, that enemy is typically just dead, unless you either drop the combo because an enemy hit you out of it, or because, like, if you try to go for something that's just beyond your executional limits, you'll just get fucked. As far as, like, the combo system goes, I've only messed around with the first 4 weapons that you can unlock, which are the sacrificial dagger, the spear, the club, and the sword. There's there's a lot of interesting interplay there, because, like, the sword is, like, pretty stock standard, just your usual fucking action game, like, mid-ranged, like, weapon, really. The dagger, though, is a lot more spatial manipulation, without necessarily, like, instead of having a true low, like, most weapons have a low attack with down plus light, but the dagger's down plus light is like a trick. So the light attack up and down is a teleport that moves you, like, in any direction. You can, like, phase through enemies with it. It's cool. It's a nice system. I still need to play around with it a little bit more, but it's definitely... It's definitely more open than I felt Icy was, and, or... I said Onikira, but there's also another 2D. I haven't played much of the Chinese one.
Did you ever give Blood Mirage a shot?
That's the Chinese one, thank you.
Okay.
I didn't get far in Blood Mirage, because I wasn't able to get very comfortable with it. I personally am not a big fan of 2D beat-em-ups, just for a couple of reasons. But Aztez is nice. So the action game side of it is, like, good from a combo perspective. As far as the enemy interactions go, the difficulty curve, it spikes once enemies... Like, there's two things that happen. So the enemies, A, start getting really aggressive, and B, they stop taking hits done immediately. Like, you have to sort of break through them. And then, you know, once you do that, then you can air combo them to death. I have not seen a single enemy break out of an existing air combo, though. Like, they don't do that Devastation or Devil May Cry 4 DMD shit. Like, they just, you just confirm and they're just in it. Yeah, like, a lot of the enemy waves will just get really fucking crazy really quickly. So the difficulty there is a little bit wonky. I still need to get used to it and experiment with that. But the thing that really surprised me was the Civilization, like, RTS shit. So if anybody's ever played, like, Magic the Gathering or, like, a deck building game, especially MTG EDH, where there's, like, this feeling of you're just a huge luck sack, and your turn should have definitely ended, like, 20 minutes ago. But it still hasn't, because you keep drawing gas to do more shit. And it's, like, the most like, I'm trying to think of a way to put it. So, like, in Aztez, you expel resources to get, like, units to do actions with. And, like, so you have, like, a series of missions on a grid, and you have, at the start, only one Aztez, which is, like, your little soldier that you can send off to do shit. You have to either purchase, or you can't directly purchase them, but you have to find or earn new Aztezes through either luck or through doing missions. So at the start, if you get lucky, you can get some resources off the bat, you can sell some shit, and there's actually an item you can purchase that gives you a random item. And if you purchase this random, like this thing that'll give you a random item, and Aztez can be in that. So on your first turn, you can get a second character. It's the best, most, like, D-gen feeling on the planet. I fucking love it so much. As for how, like, depthful the RTS stuff is, I don't really know. There's no, like, multiplayer in the game. At all. It's just you versus the CPU. So, or, like, yeah. So, the game is fucking really good. It hits, like, two very good itches for me. The second one I wasn't even expecting, but it definitely does. So pick that game up if you have not yet. I think it's like $20 or something on Steam. It's a reasonable price for what you can get out of it easily. As to whether or not I'm going to keep playing it, that really just depends on my backlog. I still haven't even touched fucking World of Final Fantasy or that fucking shitty Persona 5 game. But we'll see. What else? Yeah, just fucking DMC4. I've sort of fallen out of practice with Dante a little bit, but that's, you know, that's okay. I played like a fucking... I played out of my mind that one night. I stayed up to like 3 in the morning watching fucking Razor Fist review fucking Final Fantasy VII, so I'll take that as a sign that, like, my ceiling has definitely been extended, which is nice. I just have to make sure I don't plateau.
Inebriated that night as well, right?
I was definitely sober by the time things got down to it.
Okay.
I
I do remember you were starting to star rate more effortlessly.
Oh yeah.
Or was that the same night?
That was the same night.
Okay.
It just sort of like because I streamed for like a fucking while that night, but yeah. So just got to make sure you don't plateau there. I need to play more Bayonetta 1 to practice the next couple of missions for something. Like 4 and 6 are my next one, so I need to actually look into how to do the boss fight well. But I haven't touched Transformers Devastation much. I need to do that. There's just so much. There's just too much shit to practice, man. And like you throw Guilty Gear on top of this, and it's just fuck life. Nobody has the time for this shit.
Oh yeah.
Nobody actually has the time for this shit. So what else? That's really about it. So we're ready for some news.
I should add one little thing. I saw a comment in there. At least it's not Jacko. When I think it was in regards to who you're playing, which when you brought up Jam. I like Jacko. Sorry, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm also that guy that loves Elfelt as well.
I like her ass.
Jacko's ass is fantastic, but I also like the way she plays. I know I am a thought chaser. I am aware.
Who do you play in Guilty Gear, Dax?
Nobody.
I knew it. Wait, you played Potemkin, didn't you?
I don't play Guilty Gear.
Really? Then what am I? Oh yeah. Because it's like a very similar character in Unil that you played to Potemkin.
Waldstein.
Yeah, Waldstein.
Although I wouldn't say he's got many grapples, but that's as far as the comparison.
He's just a big bulky faggot.
He's a big guy.
He's a big dude.
Oh, I just thought of another game I'm playing.
What?
Perspective API.
Huh? It's a pretty good game.
It is a good game.
What was the most offensive thing you've gotten?
Hey, Will, Canada's on fire, you faggot. That got a 100%.
That got 100% toxicity rating. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically what is it called?
Perspective API. It's a Google tool to moderate toxicity in comments.
Yeah, it's basically you can go in and experiment with what you can plug a bunch of different text chains into like a box, and it'll simulate how the AI would actually respond to what you've written. It's interesting. It's interesting to see how things are being marked down as what's too toxic, too shitty to say to a real person.
I love how it's marketed as it's just a tool for you to simply gauge and search for the most toxic comments in your comment section.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's not how it's going to be used in real life. It's just going to be used to have certain comments appear exclusively, while others are entirely drowned out.
You're right. So, anyway, we ready for some news? Can we do this? My hand is on the trigger. My finger, rather, on the sword. Persona. Someone talk to me about this meme franchise.
They railroad you a lot in the intro segment for hours on end. It's got really good music and really good characters, but it has bad pacing. Combat's pretty okay, but unfortunately, dungeon design in Persona 3 is a little repetitive. I don't know. I guess that's all I really gotta say. Oh wait, that's right. Music.
The worst character.
Rhythm games.
Somebody say something about a gun.
Oh, shoot myself.
Yeah, so there was a big concert.
Yeah.
Which are always really cool. If anyone hasn't actually seen any of the Persona concerts over the last few years, they're always a real treat to watch. In fact, there's a couple albums live in the Development Room that you can listen to. There's also like a ton of clips on YouTube and stuff. Those are mostly dedicated to, obviously, Persona 3 and 4. This is well before 5.
Yeah.
And they had other stuff from like the PSP versions, the other stuff like that. There was a couple songs from like the anime, which was not very good. Didn't really relate to 3 and 4 at all, but doesn't matter. And so they're kind of basically doing what they did with Persona 4, Dancing All Night, and doing the same thing for Persona 3 and 5.
Yeah.
And it's based on what they've talked about, that we don't really know how they're going to be doing the whole story thing, because with the way they were handling a lot of the Persona 4 spin-offs is that, and something I'm not really in favor of, is that they're all canonical. So
yeah.
obviously Persona 4 Arena was handled a little bit better, even though it kind of, I mean, it dragged a lot of P3 characters and it did some weird stuff. But even like Dancing All Night is still canon, and they introduced characters in that, and Q is canon, although at the end of it, they'll go back to their respective universes or
Yes,
games.
doesn't fucking
They
matter.
they don't remember anything, so it doesn't matter. So why even make it canon in the first place?
Canon,
so
man.
it kind of sounds like it kind of sounds like they're, from what I'm inferring, and this may be just bad translation, but I think they're just going to have fun with this one and not really worry about canon. I mean, obviously P3 especially.
Well, I mean,
like tonally it doesn't fit at all. They're definitely focusing more on just celebrating the music, which I think is a very cool.
Yeah,
thing
it's a
to do.
very good idea.
And it goes right along with, obviously they had the proof of concept with Dancing All Night for Persona 4. They showed that it can sell well. They showed that the people actually like the mechanics and everything else, and aesthetically, they found it pleasing. And obviously doing all the concerts and everything that they've done, a fuckload of those in Japan. It's just very well. It's a very big part of the series. So it feels less of a. Thankfully, with a game like this, it's much less of a. Well, of course, it's partially going to be a cash grab, but it's also something that you can kind of understand.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Also, they're not just on the PlayStation Vita, like Dancing All Night was. They're on PlayStation 4. So I'm hoping that I like them to actually port Dancing All Night for Persona 4.
Here's the thing, though.
PS4.
If I were to cash in a Bailet, because I think this is the only way you could like please everybody who sort of had issues with Dancing All Night, because like rhythm game fans apparently had some issues with it. I don't play rhythm games, so I don't really give a fuck.
It's not my favorite.
To be honest with you,
but it's solid.
Yeah, but if they were to port it, which I could see them doing, I would really appreciate if they were to like attempt to fix some of those issues. I don't know.
Yeah,
it depends on what they actually do with Star and Moon.
Right. Yeah, so if they're going to revamp a substantial amount of things, I would hope that if they did port Dance All Night, they would put it more into this model.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. They may not. Also, the models. I mean, even just obviously.
God, they look so fucking great.
Models and fully animated is great, and seeing all the P3 models is it's very cool for me, just because Persona 3 is still my favorite in the series. So it's very nice to see. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And then there was also,
I think I'm just looking forward to the soundtracks for these games more so than anything else.
Yeah, and obviously, the bonus is the soundtracks. Even if you play, because I didn't play Dancing All Night for a long time.
I still haven't played Dancing All Night.
And but the soundtrack, it's just another fucking remix album, basically.
It's so fucking solid, dude. Blessed be.
Yeah. Also, the kind of off the wall announcement was Persona Q2.
Yeah.
Which is centered around Persona 5 in some way. I don't think.
Well, it better be.
I doubt they're just going to attract other characters from the different games and be like, hey, I know y'all forgot, but remember it now, and then you'll forget it. I don't know. So I'm guessing they're just going to do the same. It's going to be the same Metrian Odyssey kind of thing, and just everyone's going to forget the end, whatever. But now it's with P5 characters. I don't really fucks with the EO kind of games.
No.
I didn't. I thought I liked watching Let's Plays and stuff of PQ for like the dialogue interactions and everything. Like seeing Kanji and Koromaru hang out was cute, like that kind of stuff. It's fun, but gameplay wise, I'm not really big on it. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. But for those who really enjoy PQ, because it's definitely like a solid game. It's a polished title. That I'm excited for them to have that, and I'm gonna enjoy seeing all of the the cutscenes and interaction and everything. I'm sure they're gonna have fun with that.
Just sort of sucks that the fan service is a little bit shit, but whatever.
Yeah, it's a little
But I mean, that's sort of the same.
That's kind of the game.
That's kind of most of the spin-offs. That's really the problem, isn't it? Like the same thing I sort of felt with what's it called, Ultimax Arena, where it's like they everything is supposedly canonical, but like doesn't Arena take place a year after 4?
Yeah.
Even though everybody supposedly has a completely different design a year after 4 Gold.
Well,
like shit definitely happened to everybody after that game was over, but evidently not. I don't know. But even then, it's like they'll do like fan servicey shit, like especially in 4 Arena with Naoto and Kanji, but it dead ass did not stick at all.
Yeah.
So it's just fucking it's just wacky fan service that hopefully in Moon Knight especially will be a little bit more.
Right.
because this is like they're taking it back to the timeline before Persona 4. So they can't reference those characters. Yeah, just fucking blessed be. Happy for it. Happy to see another remix album of Persona 3.
Yeah, that'll be tight.
It'll be fucking great. I just hope they're available shortly after they're available in Japan, because I had to acquire the Dancing All Night soundtrack through some duplicitous means, because I don't think they ever released it here, did they?
Oh, I have no idea.
That's my knowledge.
I had acquired the same.
And we had to use the same torrent, which is fucking bullshit. But yeah, so Persona, neat shit. So who would like to acknowledge the bait? Would anybody like to acknowledge the bait? Because I know Total Biscuit acknowledged the bait. Except he didn't do it ironically. He definitely grabbed onto the bait.
Oh, we're there right now.
Yes, we are at the Baitocracy.
We Hellblade now?
We are definitely Hellblade, deadass. So something weird. Twitter happened again this week, especially to a couple of people in particular. One of which being Jim Sterling. But you know, there's also another person with whom I used to love a lot. What can I say other than I used to really love Total Biscuit. And this wasn't the thing that made me stop loving him. This is a symptom, not the disease. Oh, that's a bad way to phrase that. Okay.
It's okay. It was not intended.
It was definitely not intended. So, here's the thing. So, Hellblade pulled a good old... so they threw... Ninja Theory, to their credit, threw out a genuine line into the ocean. That was a tooltip in Hellblade, their new game released a couple days ago. I have not played it yet. I don't know when or if I'm going to play it, because the... let's just say that the game took a very different turn from what I was expecting from their initial dev diaries that first got me interested in it. So I don't know if I'm ever going to get into it, but still, there's a hook with a worm on it in the ocean, and the worm has a little you know how people will write shit in grains of rice? Someone did that to the worm that says your fucking save file will get deleted if you die too many times. And even though nobody confirmed this themselves, and even though people were playing the game...
Actually, there's someone who could have, but chose not to.
You're right. But, you know, basically people were playing the game, but nobody actually tested it enough to see if you could have lost your save file. And supposedly, there were mentions of a sort of permadeath system before the game actually launched, but it seemed to have been confirmed through a tooltip in Hellblade. And this caused one John Bain, because he's definitely not Total Biscuit anymore, to somewhat justifiably go on a bit of a shit-tearing spree through a couple of tweets about their his general dissatisfaction with the decision to do that. So,
and he's entirely right to criticize it. He's entirely right to not like it. I mean, that's your right as a consumer. There's a problem, though.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from the obvious, you know, I do think that it does need to be acknowledged that not every game is made for every person.
Yeah.
So even though you can totally express your dissatisfaction with something, to expect a certain type of gameplay feature to ever disappear entirely based on your dissatisfaction with it, I think is a bit unreasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is not to diminish the value of your criticism of a feature, but it should be tempered with the realization
that it is the way it is.
You shouldn't be expecting everything to be tailor-made to you. Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'll fully admit, I mean, following Hellblade's development from the beginning, it was very clear to me very early on that this was not a game made for me. Yeah. Strictly just through elements like the huge emphasis on walk and talk. You know, I fucking hate that. The combat doesn't look fun, although I hear mixed things about it. I hear some people that say it's complete garbage. I hear some people that say it's actually pretty damn alright. I don't know where I am on that, obviously.
But here, is pretty damn alright a seller anymore? Like, we just got Aztez.
I don't know. Yeah, right, exactly.
Like, so, on the scale of pretty damn alright, I could rather be playing Devil May Cry 4. Yeah. Like, come on.
Spending another fucking 200 hours in fucking Bayonetta, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but even then, it's like, that's okay, because, you know, the game wasn't made for me. You know? It's like,
exactly. But then, here's the thing, though. Jim Sterling, when he made his review...
Yes, so, do you want to preface it?
Yeah, so, Homeboy had the ability to dispel whether or not if that feature was true. He actively left out the notion that that feature was a part of the game in his review, because I'm pretty sure he was smart enough to realize that when he encountered the bug, which involved him dying 1,000,000 times over, it never consumed his save file. In fact, I stayed up late with Platinum to watch that review shortly after we heard about the save controversy. And when we got to that part where he was talking about the bug that had locked him in a state of just dying again and again and again.
Yeah.
We were both like waiting for him to eventually say, and then, you know, here's the worst part, it deleted my save. But that never came up suspiciously. Yeah. That's because the game, and this is the first time I am going to give Tamim credit for using his artistic ability for something worthwhile for once.
Yeah.
That tooltip fucks with your head.
Yeah.
It's lying to you. It's lying to you like how the voices in Senua's head are lying to her.
Yeah.
Bold face, that's a lie. And I think that's really good. I like that.
I do too.
But then that brings us back to our boy John Bain, in which he says, "No, fuck your artistic vision. I still have to keep up those tweets because it's for consumer rights." And
it's just like, here's the thing. I don't like, here's the honest take. That system could have been a definite, like, it could have been sort of like an aha moment. Or it could have been the thing that made Hellblade special to somebody. But there was an assumption made where, like, he just, like... And even if... Why would he have gone out of his way to fucking go for the consumer rights angle? If the game... Like, was it advertised anywhere?
It's, as far as I'm aware, its advertising has strictly kind of been along the lines of just like, hey, it's coming to Steam, hey, it's coming to GOG.
Like, I guess the whole point that he could be trying to make is that the game did not tell you when you purchased it that the game had a permadeath system. Even though that would have technically have been a lie, had it been true, players who purchased it without knowing would have had to find out the hard way, and they might not have liked that. But even, like, I'm very confused as to how this becomes a consumer rights issue. Because
especially if it were to be advertised like directly on their store page, like, it's not lying to you.
Well, let me go look at the Hellblade Steam page, because I'm relatively certain that it does not mention the permadeath system there. But even if it had, that's part of the joke. Okay, joke is the wrong word, but you get what I'm saying, though. That's part of the point.
Yeah. I know thematic,
I don't understand how this is, like... First off, it's acceptable to give a spoiler on fucking consumer rights grounds, one. Number two, like, to completely dispel something that could have become interesting for a player on consumer rights grounds, two. And three, to just sit there and... On his co-optional podcast, because I tuned in on the off chance that he was going to be talking about Hellblade, and even though I joined in like an hour in, the topic still said discussing Hellblade, I genuinely hope they actually bullshitted for the first 45 minutes of that cast before they got to that. But it was basically just TB standing his ground, and even though Dodger and... Jesse were both actually surprisingly sort of holding TB to some form of, like holding him to some type of fire there, pointing out that, like, well, nobody actually got dev confirmation that that thing was in the game, and even though people were playing the game, nobody actually fucking tested it to make sure that that was the case. It's just like he was standing there being like, well, I don't know how I could have interpreted that tooltip any other way. And on the one hand, right, because this is sort of bringing in a human element situation to it, where a regular person, whether it was TB or somebody else, could have seen that tooltip and gotten really cross, could have gone to Twitter and done that shit without testing. You know, people do that shit all the time. I, fucking will do that shit occasionally, where if I see something without testing it, I'll just throw something up on Twitter.
Oh, sure.
Even though it would behoove me to actually go test to make sure that something is the case that it seems to be. But in John's case, he definitely has... How many followers does he have on Twitter? And I know it's like a sort of a bad thing to just point to the reach of his the reach of his audience, but the fact of the matter is that a decent portion of people, how many? 726,000 followers could have potentially seen him just completely lose his shit over this system without checking to make sure it was even a thing. And even then, it's like after all of... Because, like, anybody could have had that reaction. It's just the problem is that it was TB who deliberately spoiled it on the grounds that it made him upset. I
still find it so awkward that he chases the consumer rights angle here.
Because that's the only angle he can.
Once it appears early in the game.
Yeah.
Which, look, let's face it, that's grounds for being able to return the game pretty fast.
Yeah.
You bought it on Steam, you see that message at the beginning of the game, you don't like that, put in the refund. You'll get it. It's not going to not happen for you.
Yeah.
Unless if you buy from like a Green Man Gaming or something like that, then after the purchase is made, then I don't think you can actually get a refund. But there's that.
You know what? Let's see. What
you in for?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. There's about this game. There does not appear to be anything mentioning any sort of permadeath system on the front of the Steam page. It's just like...
I really wish they would do that.
Yeah, like, even if it had been real, that would have been a completely different conversation, but it wasn't, Yeah. But even then, he didn't know that at the time. It's just... I don't know. There's just, like, he had the ability to go several different ways on it. He just goes... He just... He dug his heels in, Which
it felt like a pride thing, yeah.
Oh, certainly. Absolutely, but... he's done that before, especially going back to his Blue Police days, where he will just... Even when he's right, he'll still do it. He'll just sit there, and he will just shout at people, or about a thing. And once upon a time, that was cool, because he was usually in the right. But now it's like he's fucking with something about... something that was produced by a much smaller team, and I just don't fucking... it's a fucking stupid thing. But even that is not the only thing that sort of went down in regards to Hellblade discussion from two British people. The second was from one Jim Sterling, whom this gameplay you're seeing from, like, in front of you right now is from. He thought it would be cool to he had I believe an early access copy of the game for review purposes, which is cool. But he encountered, as Mark alluded to, a sort of show-stopping bug where he he missed a torch, and the torch would have protected him from death. Basically, it's one of those things.
It was a player-induced bug. It was something that he could have avoided, but because he was not, because he didn't inspect enough.
Yeah,
he wound up putting himself. He wound up unintentionally playtesting and finding a bug.
Yeah, which I don't have to like. Here's the thing, right? He definitely. I'm trying to think of a way to put this. Jim gave the game a 1 out of 10 for his initial review of the game because of that bug. because he basically found a thing that blocked all progress from him. And I would have been, I don't know if I would have been pissed as well, but two things sort of catch me out about that. Number one is that he, like, apparently he's talking about wanting to do a video about Hellblade as a concept, it being this AAA indie sort of thing, and what that could mean for a game. The only thing that, and for some reason this, like, I guess he wanted to do it very positively. He wanted to be like, oh yeah, this came out great. But the reality of the situation is that when you enter when you try to produce something of this type of AAA quality with his type of with this type of budget, you're going to have to make sacrifices. And QA is something that even real AAA games deal with. Nobody needs to point this out. So when QA issues crop up in a AAA indie game that are demonstrable, you can just point to that and just be like, well, this is a reality of the concept. This is something that is worth talking about. But, you know, I don't know. Like, to me, that would be an interesting sub-point. It may, you know, make things seem a little bit worse off in the end, but still, that matters to the discussion. You know? But the second thing, then, is that, like, I'm trying to think of a way to put this. As somebody who occasionally will, like, I've encountered my fair share of bugs, especially whilst reviewing Nier Automata, that, you know, didn't cost me my save file, thank fucking God, there was no corruption there. But even if it had been, like, a case of corruption, I still would have been perfectly fine replaying up to that point. That's like, and that might sound like a weird thing, but apparently according to Jim, prior to his encountering that show-stopping bug, he really liked the game. Like, liked it a lot. He was really enjoying it, and it seemed to only be getting better. But for a couple of reasons, as soon as a progress blocker appeared, and it appeared as though his save file was lost, it apparently wasn't even a consideration on his part to go back and just replay the rest of the content and keep the bug in his review as a potential thing that, you know, as a thing that just is a part of the game potentially, that just factors into his review, but isn't just a thing that takes it from an 8 out of 10 to a 1 out of 10. And, like, the whole score thing is sort of fucked to begin with. I'm more than in 100% agreeance on that. But even then, it's like, what does it really say about... What does it say about his fucking, like, his love of the game when he wasn't willing to continue that supposedly upward trend? You know?
It was about, what, 8 hours in at that point?
I am unsure. I don't even know how long the game is to complete. Supposedly, how long to beat the game was, like, short. But I don't... That's another thing that sort of caught my attention. It's like, well, if the game is that short, why... You know?
Yeah.
But even then, here's the thing. It's like, if it becomes an active chore for you to replay the game, then do you really love it that much?
He does fall under a specific form of review category, though.
Yeah.
He falls under the widely inundated consumer review.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like you're kind of going in as a non-expert for the thing. So, you know, like, I mean, you know, Dax has had his rants about Tekken versus Street Fighter versus Tekken. Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Which people were like, it looks good, it plays good, you know, 8 out of 10. You know, completely ignoring all the facets that would reasonably, for anyone that's nuanced in the fighting genre, to reduce the score further. And Matthew Matosis recently had that small blurt recently where he was talking about how, you know, he's never going to do like a hair trigger review for anything because he feels like it's not educated enough.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jim Sterling, among many other reviewers, they fall under that category of, like, you know, consumer review, which is hair trigger. It's you play through the game, then you make the review, you know, wham bam, you're done.
Yeah.
And I guess that even because he was also loving the game, the reason why he didn't go back to play from the beginning to dedicate that time is uh he's the setup he has, he's probably, I would assume, too busy also reviewing other shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, personally, if I were him, just because I'm gay like this, I would have started, like, if I'm really loving it, I am going to start back from the beginning. I had to do that with fucking with GTA 5 on the PS3. Because this is back during the era in which if you made a multiplayer character, it would corrupt your save data.
Yeah.
So I was like 35 hours into GTA 5, and I make my multiplayer character, and then bam, I'm fucked. I have to completely eradicate my save and start from the beginning again, but I did because I needed to get through it, and I spent a lot of time crunching in and sort of optimizing my way through the game to get back to where I was.
Yeah.
Without wasting time and going here or there. But I also was not under the pressure of having to put out, an expected array of reviews that he has to both purchase himself and also get codes for when he can strike a deal with devs out there. Because as he's mentioned before, he's on many blacklists due to his confrontational nature.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would also assume that it's just sort of like a basic human limit for him, like a time is money kind of thing.
Certainly, and I would understand that as well, but even then it's like, I don't know, it's just, to me that becomes, if that were to have happened to me and I was like, well, I don't want to play the game anymore, that becomes like a point where I need to dig deeper into what I actually think about the game.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Like, but, not every reviewer has the ability to do that. So I guess that's just sort of, like, demonstrating a little bit of a fucking, like, a limitation of what, like, paid, like, variety reviewers can actually do. Or how far they can actually take their review. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if that moment were to occur, that might be like, well, maybe the game isn't that good. Maybe it's not actually an 8. Or maybe it's only an 8 on a first playthrough. And then after that, it's like, well, is this... Then that takes it into, well, like, okay, then we've slashed replay value the fuck out. If that's the case, then is the game worth the asking price? Because this is just straight 7 to 8 hours of content you're paying for, like, $30. Is that content worth that value? And, is it worth it with the added possibility of them encountering a bug like this that, means that they're going to have to, go through the game again with a bunch of, like, not fun? Is that worth it? Like, it's just, that point would then become something that fractures. It spiders, in a way, where, like, it just starts going off on all these different little paths that you could take a discussion about it. But, we never, like, the problem I have is just that, like, the discussion never got to that point, because it was just about, well, he got upset. And it's also, like, nobody was really willing to acknowledge the, like, the interesting discussion of, like, of personal bias being thrown into the mix, where, like, Jim got very overtly upset because he had very high hopes and respect for not just Hellblade, but for Ninja Theory in general.
Yeah.
Like, that just sort of seemed to slip by a lot of people, although, like, I get that that's part of the point of having personalized reviewers, or, like, consistent people doing reviews of games, but even then, it's just, that's something that is, like, an omission of bias by the reviewer that could color, like, their perception of things like the combat for you. And if you don't catch that, then, you could be getting into a game off, like, a weird pretext. I don't fucking know. But either way. That's the Baitocracy.
Oh, no, it's a meme game, and I'm not going to get to memed again.
I might one day if someone buys it for me. That's not not telling you to buy it for me. Do not fucking buy me this piece of trash. I would much rather play... fuck my Steam wishlist. Hit me up on my Bandcamp wishlist, fam. How about that shit? There you go. You want to help me out that way. Because I got pretty much every game I actually want to play right now. My wishlist is a meme. But, so, with this sword, the Senua sword, we're moving it down a little bit to the Blizzard versus the diversity quota. So let me get some Overwatch footage. So, an article from Kotaku of all places posted something a little bit intradescent about, or was it a Kotaku article? I need to check the Google Doc. Yes, it was a Kotaku article. So, a internal Blizzard memo is talking about something that might be a little controversial in regards to their desires to bring in and more importantly to retain more diverse audience or like more diverse workers. The report or the memo states that supposedly, bearing in mind supposedly, the rates at which women leave Activision Blizzard, or I don't know, is this just a Blizzard thing? The rates that women are leaving Blizzard is greater than the rates that men are leaving Blizzard. And that sort of catches them as something that they want to try to fix. This is part of a general push in, like, just as a company to increase diversity amongst their work staff. And I only really want to bring, not because, like, this is going to be turned into some fucking, like, it can, if either you or Dax would like to turn this into some type of, like, social justice discussion or anything like that, or diversity in the workplace discussion. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to point out that the reason this makes me uncomfortable is that the purpose of having a diversity quota is to bring in people that are different, but by turning them into a numerical value, you remove a decent portion of their autonomy and individuality.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That just makes me uncomfortable.
And that seems to be what Blizzard is aiming to do, even from a fundamental way of how they handle their own business. Like, recently, one of their most talented musicians who's created some of the greatest fucking music, I can't remember his name for the life of me. He was fired. Like, he's not on bad terms. He'll probably still do freelance work for them, but they transformed their sound department to work in a more amorphic, transformative way, like how Valve runs Valve itself.
Yeah.
Where they don't really work in a sort of like tiered system. They sort of work in a more like everyone's a part of this, just sort of like come in and do your thing. So they broke down the tier of their sound department, and eventually, which wound up them having to let go of their one of their lead composers, who is a fucking phenomenal musician. The guy that worked on like the Hearthstone soundtrack and the Burning Crusade soundtrack and all that shit.
Right. Also, Neil,
so anyway,
I see you there lurking. Fuck you.
So, wait, we got BB. Ain't even saying shit.
BB? Oh, yeah.
It's here, ain't saying shit. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, really what it comes down to is, like, I would care if Blizzard still made games that I enjoyed, but
Yeah, well, but it's such a weird fucking, it's just a weird goal to have to me. I don't know.
To be fair, currently Overwatch actually has a reason to play it.
Yeah? Who might that
Lucille
be?
Ball.
Oh my god, that fucking meme.
It's the only reason to play it. It's a shame that it's only temporary.
It's a shame that it's not Team Fortress 2, a good first-person shooter.
Are you talking about Blitzball?
Yeah, we're talking about Blitzball.
Blitzball.
Which I guess is why, so something that makes sense now that I look back on it is the prevalence of things like the visible women hashtag being used by some of the, like, artists at Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a concept artist who released, I forget her fucking Twitter handle, but she released, like, a couple of pictures of herself with a little bio in the tweet where it's like, hey, I work at Blizzard, you know, this is just, I'm a concept artist at Blizzard, hashtag visible women. And it was amidst a handful of other visible women hashtag tweets from people working at Blizzard. And I'm just like, you know, and I wasn't really thinking of it much, but now that I see this, it's like, oh, that's not something that's like a movement. That's something that your boss told you to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's something that you read in an email rather than what you read in your heart.
Yeah, when it becomes a mandated thing rather than an expressive thing.
Yeah,
it devalues it.
That's where it's
it
like,
does diminish the value.
I'm very I'm a little upset at this.
No, I agree. It does suck to I don't know, like I'm not going to bring up social justice just because I don't really like to talk about it on a casual level. I don't like to talk about it on a fucking debated level either, but there's the very obvious thing of like hire the person for their talent, not because of, you know, what their genetic makeup is.
Yeah.
That it's something I hold true to. I mean, I literally couldn't give a shit if your company is made of so many percent whites, so many percent women, so many percent, you know, this sexual orientation. I don't really fuck. And I do understand why they put these quotas together. The thing is, though, is that it never really comes off as anything genuine and heartful, because it's literally just a very cold, hard way to sort of like, I don't know, embolden certain numbers that represent your company. And really, at the end of the day, it sort of seems to be used as a shield against criticism more so than anything else. Like, I mean, well, we're Blizzard. How could we do anything wrong when you see them, bam, you know, they show like the list of the diversity in their company. Oh, okay, like how's that fucking? How does that stop the argument of wow shit? Like, I just this is what bothers me about it. You know, the focus on shit like that tends to mingle with like genuine criticisms.
Yeah, it's just fuck. I don't. It just sort of caught me as a thing that's like the fact that it came down as a memo. Sort of it honestly made me a little bit shittier towards Blizzard.
Well,
they've not been on my good side for a while. So.
Well, hey, I mean, you can always go lower.
When you're gonna go around and make it be like, you know what's really hip right now?
Blacks.
Social acceptance. let's put all the kids are doing it. It's like,
I heard Laura K. Dale's offended by everything. I guess we'll let her speak for it all.
Yeah, it's not really something you want to throw around in a fucking email. I'm not really happy about hearing all that.
Anyway, that's Overwatch is a shit game.
It is.
For bad people.
That's okay. I mean, it's better than TF2 at least.
Well, I mean, okay, it's not difficult.
About how Overwatch is a bad game.
Yeah, it's not difficult to be better than TF2 at the moment. You know, to be honest with you, it's like hitting low-hanging fruit. It's like saying that you're a better Kingdom Hearts speedrunner than BB.
I mean, I am.
There you go.
On the DL.
On the DL.
I mean,
he
you know,
says.
but I mean, you know, it's like I said at SGQ. You know, if I had a life, you know, I'd really be able to put in.
Yeah, you know, it's a good thing you don't have a life.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Thank
I
God.
know how words work. BB, what do you think of Lucio Ball?
Well, if I didn't have 200 ping, I think it'd be pretty fun.
Oh, is your internet still getting bodied?
Well, no, I was looking at like Discord, and I think like I'm just connected to like the wrong server or something like that, because like my ping is like way worse compared to like my old place whenever I was at Discord. So I don't know what the heck's going on.
Have you done like a speed test to see what server it's connect? If it connects to an automatic server somewhere, have you seen like what it?
I can do that.
Because I had issues ages ago, and Comcast didn't even know what it was. Where I was my IP was being hosted in Nashville, which is 3 hours away. And so it was making my connection shit, and I kept trying to get them to fix it. Eventually, it just fixed itself. So I don't know how it is with your provider, but
it's a bad game.
Yeah, it's
It
almost
really
like it's almost like Overwatch is a shitty sport. Anyway,
It's almost like WoW arenas are a shitty sport.
it's okay. They'll push it for one more time. You know what's worse is going to happen. What's it going to do? Is it going to keep being a shitty esport? So anyway, Abigail in Street Fighter V.
Oh no.
Oh no.
why are we talking about?
Well, well, actually, that's a decent segue. So, you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever looked at Abigail doing his little intro, where he comes in all
On his segue.
yeah, on his segue. You know, if you ever looked at that hunk of man meat and said, you know, I really wish I could see his dick.
I also love man art.
Don't approach Capcom modders who use Patreon because they done got bodied. So, in the past week or so, a handful, I know of two, really, that have been hit with some type of DMCA from Capcom directly about paid Street Fighter costume mods. So this revealed two very interesting things. The first off is that it appears, at least, to have a solid legal backing. As to whether... So basically what happened is, two prominent creators for, like, you could call them nude mods, but really they do more than just nude mods. Brutal Ace and Kale Dantar 666 had Patreon pages where people could, like, go in and select tiers. And for, I think, Kale, if you had a $50 pledge, then it'd be like, hey, you can just put in a submission and I'll make your extra thick Guile mod or whatever the fuck. And some of them got really weird, like obviously there was like the bare feet mod, some of them were like the extra jiggle mods and shit like that. But even then, so they get hit with the DMCA, and the reason isn't so much that they're throwing in like perverse content, it's that they're charging that there's a paywall associated with a thing where people are bringing in other copyrighted materials into the game's files and apparently getting money out of them. So there was a mod for Cammy which made her into Skirtless 2B. That's obviously not a fucking Capcom IP, you know, Near's a Squeenix thing. So they got bopped on that. And it's sort of, it spurned an interesting thing where you have to sort of determine if it's like a convenient excuse that Capcom had a legal way to take down what is ostensibly paid competition for their skins, for Capcom's own costumes. Not that they would ever do like full-on nude mods, but they would definitely. I mean, family, we've all seen the fucking Chun-Li costumes. We've seen the swimsuit things. It's like, it's definitely soft core, but if you were to like throw it against each other, it is in a sense competition for who can make their waifu the biggest titties, you know? And just the fact that they happen to get them on something of a legal technicality is interesting. But what I also learned, and this is completely unassociated with anything about the actual discussion, but in his letter, I think it was who was it? It was Brutal Ace who like threw up the name of one Studio Foe, FOW, because he pointed to people who port models over and do things like that for Source Filmmaker, and was like, well, you know, nobody's really going after these guys, even though it's like, you know, Capcom doesn't really seem to be going after people putting Chun-Li or anything like that into the you know, Source Filmmaker or anything like that. There's no DMCA strikes hitting Studio FOW. So when I look at his Patreon page, this guy's making like $35,000 a month.
Damn.
I wish I want to pull it up, actually. I want to see if I can get the actual value. But basically the fucked up thing is that, like, yeah, they're just like, they're just dropping shit everywhere, and these two people were, I don't know how much money they were actually making off of it, but they were definitely they definitely got bopped on that. So I don't know, does anybody actually care about this all that much?
I mean
I know
so
Dax definitely used nude mods.
Oh, all the time.
This is the one.
So long as they're stipulating things like, oh, they're making money from like paid assets or whatever, or like they're making money off of our team, I don't know, like I can see where they run, and therefore, and by the way, I'm not even trying to imply someone that makes mods shouldn't be able to make money. I'm not getting into that fucking argument, but I am just saying, like, so long as they're keeping the bar around, like, well,
I gotta make sure this
is our game. If you're making money off of things for our game, then that's where the problem lies. It's like, all right, then I can see it.
It's not quite as bad as I thought. Studio Fall is creating crazy video game porn. $30,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck
Yeah,
my life, dude.
Studio Foe is definitely the largest. There are a lot of people who do a lot of SMM content like that on Patreon, and a bunch of them get, there are a lot of the top people are around the anywhere from like 3,500 to 8,000. But yeah, Foe is like the one that's in that
Yeah,
in that kind of insane range. Of course, they've been doing that stuff as far as I know a lot longer than SFM. SFM has been around, but
yeah.
yeah, a lot of people go crazy for that because the resources are just there. They just have, if you know how to animate, you don't have to worry really about anything else as long as people can provide the models.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see the format between people doing, you pay mainly through Patreon, where it's like you either pay a set amount a month, or you pay based on video, or in this case like a model for a game or whatever. And I guess I don't know. I'm curious if there was any thought behind people who are making models, especially like you said, Mark, we're taking stuff like 2B and all these other characters, and you're putting the game, and then you're having people pay for it.
Yeah,
because I don't even know if there's any difference in legality between if say your Patreon model is set to be monthly, to where you're basically just I'm just making models and putting them out, like, and there's no real, as opposed to if you made a bunch of original models for the game and you're being paid for it, and it's like you're putting content, you're modifying, because a lot of people have issues with simply modifying a game, even if it's an original character, original design, or whatever. You're modifying a game, and an existing game, existing property, and then being paid for it. A lot of people would have problems with that.
yeah.
I wonder if there would be any difference between some dude made like 10 models and they're all original characters or whatever, original content, and then makes one fucking, I don't know, Naruto is Guile or some shit, and all of a sudden Funimation's coming down. I don't know. I'm curious, because as far as I know, the guy was what was his name? What was one of the modders?
Brutal Ace.
Brutal Ace. He was talking about like the only reason this is a problem at all is because like apparently like Reddit blew it up. Like he
could have stayed
about,
low profile.
Yeah. So and he was saying, he said, I'm not trying to like hide from Capcom, because I feel like, I believe this is what he said. He was like, I feel like Capcom even indirectly still supports the modding scene. I don't think this would have been a big deal if Reddit hadn't blown it up at all. So I'm not even sure if it's a matter of legality or if it's a matter of like just enough people at Capcom are seeing it and being like, I don't like this. So
yeah, that's fair.
So I really don't know. And then there's all sorts of developers who will, I mean, the like Nintendo, the moment you draw like Peach with her tits out, it's like, all right, your blog's nuked, that sort of thing. And then there are other people like Sega who are like, I don't give a fuck what you do.
No, Sega goes so far as to take ownership of all Sonic porn.
Yeah, it's like,
well, that's how they're real deal.
Well, they'll straight up like in their shows, they'll fucking like make jokes about it. I mean, that's how they don't care. So I don't know. It's interesting, because I really have no idea if this would have even been a thing if Reddit didn't go nuts with it. And I don't know how much Capcom really cares, or if it's just like oh well, enough people are bringing it up. I guess we should do something.
Yeah, we should probably do something about it. Yeah.
So I have no idea.
Because I would assume that the reason why they're reacting at all to begin with is because they're probably in some sort of fearful state regarding someone monetizing 2B costumes for them without any form of like, official fucking signed papers. I would assume that could put Capcom themselves in a pretty iffy spot when squared up against Square.
Oh, certainly.
People are trying to emphasize the whole like nude mod thing. I think it's less about the new mods. If it was, people would be, again, like you said,
yeah, I think the new mods just got caught in the crossfire.
People, yeah, I think that was just a crossfire thing. I think it makes much more sense to be obsessive over seeing these other characters, these other properties.
Yeah,
you have to deal with all that. So
hopefully they'll find a way back on to Patreon under because I want to see them actually stress test this, where it's like, okay, we're gonna redo the Patreon. But the rule is you can hand me your OC and I'll do my best, but you're not giving me the rule to put a fucking model swap in, because that got my shit rocked last time. And I want to see if this,
Yeah.
like, if we can see Hong Kong Long Dong Jury coming in hot with the big dick,
Mhm.
and if Capcom is still like, fuck, I don't know, I don't give a fuck, dude. It's like the model, the dick is not anybody's IP. Just let it rock. You know?
Let's see. Who could own Big Dick? Dante's Inferno, Satan.
Fuck. I would laugh if somebody were to rip that dick model.
EA just comes in hot. Hey, that's our dick.
I know. I was the one who modeled that dick. But yeah, I would love to see people actually come in and try to just call Capcom on their bluff and see if, because like I don't really think there's that big of a deal about nude, because like if nobody had like I didn't even know people got paid for this shit, for starters, like for nude mods and shit like that. Patreon, like it makes sense out now that I think about it, but it didn't even occur to me that this was something that people would do until I read this article, which means they could have stayed low profile for the rest of my fucking life.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, now that it's sort of, now it's a part of my life, I sort of want to follow it more, see what's going on with it, see how the story develops. Yeah, it's fucking mad interesting.
Well, even just the format. I mean, because it's not just like, okay, or for the most part, you know, between either SFM or models or anything like that. It's not really a matter of like, okay, well, you just pay for this dude. You know, the only way you're ever going to see this guy's content, period, is if you pay for it. It's like, it's all by request.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you want, it's like, hey, I want to see Chitty, and it's like, okay, well, pay me. like any other artist who'd commission. It's like, hey, I want to draw May from Pokemon, like pooping on a penguin, or whatever the fuck. You know, it's like, all right, pay me $30. And it's like, okay,
who is the biggest fucking earner for like just disgusting commissions? I want to see what that person looks like. I want to see like the light just leave their eyes completely. That would be fun.
They'll have that 1,000-yard stare like a Hashimoto.
Yeah. They'll acknowledge the dead eyes. I've drawn so much shit, literally. So that is that story. Now, Pokey, I would like for you to diagram on this napkin, frame by frame, lawbreakers getting taken to Suplex City at launch. Lawbreakers more like launch breakers, am I right?
Yeah, it's such a shame. It's a shame too, because like we have mutual friends who loved Lawbreakers, like coming up to launch and then post launch they still enjoy it, but they're not getting many matches because well, it's coming in lower than Battleborn at launch. Jesus.
Well, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Of course.
So, okay, here's the thing. In defense of Cliff Blazinski's damage control, like, he has a point in a way. Where, like, okay, if it were me, you know, and I was looking into a game like Lawbreakers, there are, you know, with, what's the new Quake, with Quake Champions and shit like that, there's, like, actual sort of competition, and Titanfall 2 as well, where there's like a place now for incredibly high mobility, faux classical-ish first-person shooters now. That's like, it's sort of like me in action games, where I could go in so many different directions with my time, where I could put, you know, however much time into Aztez or Transformers Devastation or whatever. But if I don't enjoy, you know, developing a game from scratch, and like not having, basically, if I don't have any tech to steal and I don't like that, then, you know, am I really going to like playing Lawbreakers enough to really want to put my own time into it? You know? So, like, depending on where, you know, the scene or where, like, active play for this game goes in the next few weeks, we could see, you know, the meta develop in any one of different ways, and that could suddenly become appealing to some people. I don't know. You know, and then people could actually start playing, because, like, everybody knows that, like, some people have straight up purchased like Devil May Cry 4 just because of the combo mats. Like
Yeah.
they see what good players can do with the system, and that gets them into it. The system, they're like, it's not that they're not creative, but just something about it doesn't occur to them until they see someone else do it in practice. It's like, so like, you know, Super Saiyans, right? Where where Vegeta didn't go Super Saiyan before Goku, probably because he didn't think it was possible until he saw Goku do it. You feel me? And then Trunks does it when he's like 2 years old. Don't talk to me about that though.
Well, actually, Vash,
Yeah.
he powered up with Frieza when Goku was in the healing thing, and he said, "Now I'm a Super Saiyan."
Yeah. Yeah, but
So
his hair
he
was
thought, and then Goku came out, bitch, you thought. But,
psych. Boy, you thought.
There's a part of me that does lament for these really bad initial numbers for Lawbreakers. I mean, what you're bringing up, you know, the future scenario. Hopefully, it can catch some sort of momentum and create a
Well, that's just based off of like
community of its own.
what Cliffy B. I don't know if he thought about that at all. He was like, you know, maybe someone will like catch on to this. He could have just been. He saw the numbers. It's a marathon, not a sprint, guys. Leave me alone.
It's here's the thing too, is that okay, so their idea for promoting this game was largely based on word of mouth, right? So they got a whole bunch of streamers to stream it.
which
And I mean, the idea of like a high mobility, like, you know, a high APM sort of a game that this can be, which I'm sure it is, because I mean, I've seen my own fair share of gameplay where people get pretty crazy with it. I'm going to assume that none of those streamers were were doing that.
Well,
Yeah,
it's like I need to know who they actually called, because like if they got like, let's just reference like a like if you got some Call of Duty players in, I'm sure they wouldn't like, but even then it's like Drifter. I'm sure they might have contacted a player like Drifter. He's not an esports guy, but he's definitely someone who puts a lot of time into Call of Duty, and like I think he's on to Overwatch now, but even then it's like he has the tracking, he has the aim dexterity in him. And plus with how, you know, COD's sort of gone on to like the more boost pack shit through their past few games, I imagine like there's some level of like cross-sectionality to a certain degree, and you know, perhaps it's the same thing with Halo players, like after they implemented boost packs. Like verticality isn't like perhaps not to this degree, but you know, it's just like verticality isn't necessarily a new concept for first-person shooter players, but like as to whether or not anybody could make, like anybody who hasn't put time into it could make this system look good, I don't know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask about the promotion, because I feel like I've either just I haven't gone out of my way to look for it, or I just haven't really been in the know with it. Because other than its initial announcement, I mean, I don't really see anything kind of actually pop up of interest for the game. So I wasn't even aware that I guess the primary promotional material has been through.
I didn't even know the game came out.
I guess for the, I guess that's mainly for the. It's like, well, I mean, you know, we're trying. Yeah, we're going to go for that. I mean, that's a common audience, obviously, especially through Overwatch and that kind of thing. You know, you're typical Twitch streamer kind of person, and yeah, it sounds like free advertising, but you sort of need to. The best way to advertise through a game through streaming is after release, because you hype up the game ahead of time to where everyone is fucking clamoring. You want day one to be nothing but people just like fucking with their preloaders on screen, just like eating and shit and talking just about like, oh my god, I can't wait till this download is done so we can play. Like, you want to have like hundreds of windows and stuff, because that will happen for a lot of.
I mean, that's what happened with the Nier Automata demo.
Yeah,
that was what the Nier demo
like,
was.
Everything like day one is just like you want a shitload of people like getting ready to play, but if you're trying to set it up ahead of time and be like, hey man, look at how fucking, you know, yeah, we, you know, hashtag relatable, it doesn't really like that doesn't jive with me a whole lot. So it really is, and especially with a game like this where you have all these individual characters with different abilities and that kind of stuff, you want your in a competitive sense, you want your primary advertisement to be a lot of streams and videos and content and stuff coming from the devs. You want to see the devs playing it. You want to see them talking about. That's what I appreciate about Capcom UK. What they do whenever there's a new character coming out for like SF5 or that kind of thing, they do the winner stays on streams.
Yeah.
So right after they announce the game, they'll play for like 4.5 hours or whatever, just talking with that character, experimenting with the character.
Ed Boon knows how to do that very well when it comes to Mortal Kombat as well.
Yeah,
yeah, and NetherRealm's been really good at promoting that. So they'll put out, they'll put out the teaser trailers for the new stuff. They'll talk about it. They'll put out extensively detailed, and you see this for a lot of different fighting games now, where they'll put out a bunch of videos for explaining all the mechanics and everything, going in the detail. And then it used to be when you would see character reveals, especially for a lot of other games or years back during like SF4 era and that sort of thing, when a character was shown, or when you would see gameplay or whatever, it would mostly be either through GameSpot or IGN or whatever, where they're just hitting buttons and you don't really have anyone at the office who knows what the fuck they're doing, or it's just very, very quick cuts. And you still see this. I mean, like for example, like the Dragon Ball FiGht's trailer, they were trying to show mostly Flash and that kind of thing, and not really go into depth with the mechanics yet, especially since the game's so early in development. Right. So like every shot lasts for about 2.5 seconds max, and so you just see little glimpses of visual flair. Whereas like nowadays, for established games or whatever, you kind of know what's going on. You'll see the fucking stupid gay faggot Advocate trailer comes out, and they're showing that you see full combos, you see full sequences and like concepts and mix-ups and things like that you can do to entice people. It's like, okay, this is what you can do with the game. So the idea of trying to primarily advertise a game like Lawbreakers through a bunch of people who probably don't really know what they're doing, and they're relying more on the person's viewer base than trying to make the game look appealing, is just completely kind of baffling to me. I mean, it's not really going to entice people. So that's kind of unfortunate, really.
Yeah. Well, especially because like I don't know, like Cliffy B, he's recently, I'm not going to get into it, but he's said some dumb things every now and again on Twitter. Whatever, that's one thing. But like, it was really refreshing and nice to see him being really positive and excited about doing this Lawbreakers thing. Like, he was getting fucking super hyped.
He's been wanting to do something like this for a long time, and I feel like he finally saw the market and he finally got approval from everyone around him and was like, yeah, we can do this. This kind of thing is coming back, because you can tell he's been wanting to do this for a long time. Finally,
and then here it is.
I just wish they handled it better, and I'm hoping it grows. Like, I'm hoping people start to pick up on it, because it definitely, it definitely has that potential to do so. Unlike a certain other, Battleborn.
It's so weird. Has Sony even been advertising this well enough? Because like, here's the thing: like, Sony really invested money in this because they actively fought for console exclusivity rights.
Yeah.
So why would they not set aside some budget to market it themselves? That's the confusing part.
Well, I didn't even know the game came out. I honestly thought we were still several months away from launch, like yesterday. Yeah. Like, I didn't see hide or hair of this fucking game. And that's, like, granted, I don't follow first-person shooters that heavily anymore, but, like, even still, that's... I still see tons of shit from games I don't give a fuck about in general.
Right.
And the fact that this game completely eluded me is, like, it's sort of a problem. Marketing. Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
All they had to do was just call Moo No W and just get him to play it on stream for like an hour, and they'd probably double their sales of what they've gotten at this point.
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Full lyric, dude.
I don't actually know the people who actually played the game, if they're actually, like, fun to watch.
Like I said, they got a whole bunch of streamers, and it looked like a very wide swath of people that, would kind of just blend into the background.
Yeah.
Fat lot of good that did them.
Yeah, a lot of white noise.
Yeah, the game is out. The game's been out for a little while now. Couple days.
So
marathon on a sprint, Still trying to win a race, though. Race war now. Overwatch 1. Sucks to suck. What is this game? This is Lawbreakers. So, I guess just some last... Pokey, what is this thing you've linked in chat?
Some dude that plays League of Legends decided to stop masturbating.
Come on, niggas, we gotta stop masturbating. So, newbie player, Lee Vasily Wei Jun posted to a Chinese social media site about him being moved to the bench in week 6 of the LPL season. Hold on, he wrote, because I caught a cold before, I asked to be subbed out for the sake of the club's results. The club maintained its winning streak, so it wasn't necessary for me to play, and I let myself indulge in sensual pleasures for a while, which led to me playing poorly in solo queue. But last week we lost, so I started to adjust myself to a more abstinent lifestyle. About 2 days after we lost that game, I had already adjusted myself to perform my best. Those of you only reading the news shouldn't be so quick to pass judgment on me. You'll know the truth if you just check on my results in Korean solo queue.
Hell yeah, dude. Sex is a sin. Winners don't sin.
Holy moly. Jesus. Oh, this is the best piece we could have gotten.
Oh no, League of Legends is legendary, dude.
I fucking hate lolly sport. So, okay, before we just assume that he was playing a little 5-on-1, before we just assume he was shredding some lettuce, he might have he could have easily just meant that he was getting like blasted out of his mind. But I wish I could use, dude, I was jerking off, don't talk to me about my Guilty Gear matches. Or, dude, I was jacking off, don't talk to me about my Dante combos. As a valid excuse. Holy and like even better, it's like, well, you know, like adjusting to the abstinent lifestyle. Wacky. Asians are weird, dude.
I mean, there might be something there. Being pent up with sexual rage might actually be helping him in hone. He could be deadlier than ever before.
He could be the strongest player we've ever seen to touch Korean solo queue. Jesus Christ.
He's got the results.
Don't
judge him.
Check the tapes. Check the tapes. Jesus. So, what else is there? Bonfire lit. Oh, so, Dax, would you like to talk to me about the Sonic Mania opening animation?
It's really good.
I want to put it up on the stream so everybody can look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, there was a bit of a leak for me. If you want to avoid spoilers, I would, don't check like the Steam community pages. Don't check,
the only leak I know of is that they postponed the PC launch by about a week.
Yeah. Well, it's not even really a leak. I don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with that. It's just they're just trying to something to do with optimization. But
you're referring to the 3-hour gameplay.
That's just a leak that happened. But they had a stream today, like this morning, just showing off like the collector's edition and talking about the game and all that kind of stuff. And it was nice, last little promotional material before the game comes out. And they actually made a joke about that. Like they said, they made fun of the guy because apparently he dies like 13 times or something in the game, and he's just like really shit at it. And they ripped on that in some way. That was really clever, actually. But yeah, so because of the leak, they went ahead and put out the opening early, which is directed by Tyson Hess, who's currently known for having done the the Sonic Mega Drive comics, which came out recently. Did a couple volumes of that. It's a short series, but he also does. I think he's working at I forget. I think he's working at like Nickelodeon now, but yeah, he's jumped around a bunch of different studios. I've been following this guy since like 2000, back when he made fucking like Sprite comics and shit when he was by Ritz, and like following him a long time, so it's really cool. And in the music, I think it's a song by Hyper Potions.
Yes, Hyper Potions did it,
and which is it's a fantastic track and just absolutely lovely fucking opening. Because I mean, they kind of teased this a little while ago when they had the little sketch opening, which is him, Sonic kind of running through the field and into the elevator. And
yeah,
I was really hoping they were going to do a full on opening. I'm very thankful that they did. So, but yeah, it looks great. And game comes out Tuesday. Unfortunately, it was delayed a couple weeks for PC. If you happen to buy the collector's edition for PC, you will still get it. The code will not The code will not work for
So-
that day, but you'll still get it on the 15th. If that.
What is the collector's edition? Does the collector's edition come with the soundtrack?
The collector's edition comes with it comes with the code for the game. It was funny, they talked about this on the stream today. It was originally, the code was going to be on this really nice little card that they made, this little metal, this little steel card thing, but apparently there was some issue regarding putting the code on there, like some legality thing. It was really weird. They wouldn't get into detail, but they were just kind of joking about it. So they were like, yeah, but you still get the card. So they stole the card in there. You get a Genesis cartridge with where you pull out, the little part where the actual I guess the board is. You pull that out, and it's where like they have store the ring inside there. So it's this nice little cart. And the main centerpiece is obviously this statue where it's classic Sonic standing on this sort of Mega Drive Genesis combo thing, and of course if you turn it on, it plays the Sega sound and all that kind of stuff. But it's a gorgeous, like that was the main thing really in the collection, is this massive statue. I'm actually kind of surprised that the overall price of the collection is as low as it is, considering the quality of that thing.
Yeah.
And they're also doing something where there are 26 collector's edition boxes that are going around. They are completely random, and if you happen to get, if you're lucky,
look at that.
If you're lucky, you will have one that is signed by the people, like main dudes who worked on it.
Nice.
It'll be in the inside flap, so you won't know until you open it, and it's completely random. But
Wow.
Again, the statue is absolutely gorgeous. So fortunately, like no soundtrack or anything like that. I was hoping for like a soundtrack and art book or whatever, but yeah, mainly the statue. I think that's it's really about all they could get. So they kind of wanted to go all out on a couple things. But
neato.
but again, so it drops PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on the 15th. I think they're going to talk soon about like what time of day, if it's going to be like midnight and shit. And then PC version will be the 29th. And the game looks fantastic. They didn't really show a whole lot. There's not really much. So they're trying to keep a lot of the surprises. And I'm again, if you want to avoid spoilers, just don't look it up. Pretty easy, because there are a few like really interesting things, according to some people who have seen it.
So let's assume for a second that I wasn't that big on Sonic in general. I would like for you to tell me if I should pick this game up after you play it. Because I'm perfectly open to trying it. Fuck.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's a $20 game.
Yeah.
It's made by a team who has been we've talked about this a number of times, who have been very involved in making fan games and stuff like that, dedicated to science. And Christian Whitehead in general is just, I've ranted about how fucking amazing this guy is for a long time.
Yeah.
And again, just so many people that are involved in it are people that I've followed for the last, over 15 years, between Tyson and Christian and all those guys. I mean, it's really crazy to see them come together in this way, and it's really cool. So excited about it.
Absolutely. Speaking of fan game people making fan games, getting into making the real game, let's talk, because my guy, the creator of AM2R, another Metroid 2 remake, has been hired as a level designer for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Fucking good for you, bud.
Pretty cool.
That's fucking sick, and it's a good fit too.
I'm gonna say I'm a little surprised that they decided on the level designer. Maybe it's just they were waiting for the right time to announce it, right?
Yeah.
But say if the announcement came shortly after it actually did happen,
Yeah.
it feels like it might have been a little late in the game development process. I'm not saying that against the game at all, because I remember when the game was announced like a bit ago.
Yeah.
And then to just hear that now, yeah. So I'm still happy though. I've not even played AM2R. I've heard so many good things about it though. I got to get my hands on that shit.
Well, here's the thing. This shouldn't really be, because I've spoken on this before. Ori took a long fucking time to... The Blind Forest took a long fucking time to make. And I imagine it wouldn't even surprise me if Will of the Wisps was still in some type of prototyping stage. Given the amount of shit that they have to make new assets for. And when I say, like, Blind took a long time to make. It was like 4 years.
Yeah,
just to make
it was. Yeah,
because what you're seeing right now, if I'm correct, all of this stuff is not rendered live. I believe, unless they changed something in like their production process, everything you're seeing should be like 3D sprites, basically. That's how they do it. So it's crazy the amount of work went into the Blind Forest, and it's a surprisingly good fit, because to have a Metroid title, like if you're going to remake a Metroid title, you have to like sort of break the game down and see how the level geometry works with its shit and stuff. And to bring that over to a Metroid, Vania sort of game, with that sort of knowledge, that sort of deep understanding of how like an actual Metroid game works for remake purposes, whilst also considering all of the like fundamental like just design practice, whether it's programming wise, modeling, or just implementing, making a game, having that experience under your belt, transferring that over now to a position in a company where you're making a game for real, and it's not going to get sniped by a publisher. It's nice. It's gotta be really fucking cool. It's one hell of a way to break into the industry in that sense. So double good on this guy. And I think... So, did I hear you correctly? I just want to make sure. When you said that Final Fantasy XIV was the new top MMO in terms of sub count.
So what the number is that it's reached 10 million cumulative players.
Huh.
I have not read any deeper into it because it just sort of like passed by my eyes, but if that also means consecutive rather than just like there's 10 million accounts, but whatever, that doesn't really mean much. If there's 10 million players, that's Mr. Pandaria starting numbers. That's Wrath of the Lich King starting numbers.
Yeah.
That's the Cataclysm Ass End numbers. That's pretty.
That's fucking crazy good. Like, I remember a time when that shit was celebrated.
So,
I remember when Blizzard didn't want to talk about their game hitting those numbers, though. But we're not going to talk.
Yeah. That's what's funny, because like Wrath of the Lich King hits 10 million. It's like fuck yeah. Then it hits 12 million. It's like fuck yeah. And then it's like, fucking Cataclysm happens. Just keeps on decreasing down to 10.
We're not
Then a
talking
little bit
about it
lower.
anymore. Don't at me.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, now Final Fantasy has hit that mark, and from what I assume, it's still growing. So good on you guys. You did it.
Fucking great job. I'm never going to play this because I cannot dedicate time to this.
Yeah, I wish I could.
I wish I could too. It looks great, and I would probably have people to play with, but no, I can't.
That's the worst thing. I have so many fucking people I know who I could actively play with, but
yeah,
can't
do it. So that's Square good shit. I can't wait to shit on you when we do the Final Fantasy VII playthrough. It's gonna be fun.
And the Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, that game's not.
It's never happening.
2018.
Actually, I think that might be the next pick.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
It'll probably come out if it comes
No,
out. It's coming out before. So,
2FM.
Yeah.
Seems like a good pick.
I am not against that.
But I still want to do I want to do Transistor first. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We're discussing backlog shit, people. Don't at me. Don't look at me.
At hard. Don't stop adding.
Never stop adding.
Bash, did I show you the shirt I got that just says "Don't at me"?
Yeah. Did I show you the shirt I got you? Good, because you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. It's gonna be good.
I can't wait.
I can't wait. So, but yeah, I think that is it for this this cast in terms of news. Is there anything else that you guys would like to bring to the table? While we're doing this, if anybody has any questions in the chat, feel free to send them our way, even though I know you guys aren't going to ask anything, because you never do. It's Gucci and the Coochie people. Stop adding me. Delusionary Killer, I'm going to send the POTUS after you, bitch. How do you think that's going to look?
Ice.
I'm going to send Ice after you. I'm in talks with Kim Jong-un. The nukes are coming direct to your house. I have the last 4 of your social. It's not going to end well for you.
Yeah, jump cancel that, bitch.
Make analysis videos about that, bitch. Have you played Undertale? As of yet, no. I have not. I have it, but I still have not played it. Have you guys played Undertale?
Played about 3 hours of it. I like the 3 hours I played, but yeah. Never really went back to it after that, though. I didn't dislike it whatsoever. It's good. It didn't really like grip me though.
Dax played it, right?
I played probably about the same amount that Mark did. And again, I was enjoying it a lot. I just haven't sat down with it.
Yeah.
Have we played Hyper Light Drifter?
Not yet. I'm interested in that one.
I have the
especially because
soundtrack.
they added 60 FPS.
I have the ambient soundtrack, which is quite nice. Do you guys have any thoughts on Samus's Return amiibos having special exclusive hard modes for the 3DS remake?
Yeah, that can eat a dick.
Yes, that can suck several dicks. But yeah, that can just suck several dicks for 2 reasons.
What's gonna happen? Okay, go ahead.
Well, just the first one, the obvious one, is that ambios have shit availability. Like, they have garbage availability.
Yeah.
I had to suck 12 dudes off to get my Woolly Poochie amiibo. I had to order this pink yarn Yoshi off of Japanese eBay. This yarn Yoshi was acquired through... I had to slit a man's throat for that one. It's just... I shouldn't have to jump through all these... I just want my little cuddly fucking characters. Like, and if you attach a difficulty mode of all things... Like, imagine a world where Dante Must Die difficulty, you had to purchase, like, something that was as hard to find as an ambio. I would shoot. I would shit. I would cry. It'd be bullshit. It'd be terrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
Like, the thing is, to be fair, I don't know exactly the hard mode works. I don't know if it's, like, completely new content, if it reshuffles everything, or if it's just a stats workaround. I don't know. Not to say that would make it any better, but if it were a stats workaround, it wouldn't hurt my ass that bad. But if it's like, hey, we reshuffled some of the power-up placements, then I could see myself getting a little bit ass mad at that. Absolutely.
I need to ask either of you, actually, even if BB wants to respond to this. Is there an amiibo-free Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild run? Speedrunning run?
There's gotta be a category for no amiibos, yeah.
You look on the speedrun.com page, this is basically how it works right now, and it's kind of it's a bit of a clusterfuck, because there are things where you can set it to where you're looking at runs that use amiibo versus not. Some people treat them as set of categories, some people don't care. Like currently, I think I forget if it's like the 80% or the all dungeons, whatever. Like one of the first place runs like does not use any amiibo when it's. I think it's one of the longer runs where it's like very beneficial too, because any percent doesn't help out. It helps a little bit, but like stuff like all shrines, all dungeons, whatever, it helps immensely.
Yeah.
And so there's a big problem where, like there's there's just a lot of issue with being able to tell exactly, comparing different times, different skill levels, whatever, and like some people saying like,
that's such a shitty variable.
Yeah,
it reminds me a lot. Like I brought it up last night briefly, but it reminds me a lot of like when you brought up that one particular individual. I can't even remember his name, so I'm not going to name him anyway. Who was trying to be like, "Hey, we should all put SSDs in our PS4 to run Kingdom Hearts."
Oh,
Right.
okay. Did that discussion come back up for some reason?
No, well, people have been talking. Well, now there's a thing. I think the one thing I was mentioning recently was about backwards compatible PS3s. That's a current thing now. Because people are going back and testing games because people are going and testing PS2 games on the old backwards compatible PS3s, not the ones that used emulation, but the one that actually used hardware.
That had the emotion chip.
That had the hardware, that had the motion chip, and that had the hardware in it. Because people have been testing Ratchet and Clank 3, for example, and finding that, you know, oh, we thought that based on someone's tests from like 4 years ago on a backwards compatible PS3 that it ran like shit, but actually that was the emulated version.
Yeah.
Because people weren't aware of the differences back then. I think like even there was still a lot of people who don't actually know. A lot of people don't know the differences. And so now people are saying like, well, and so you have some people in the community, much like the SSD thing, where it's like, well, you know, it's a speed run for a reason. You got to pay up now. And then there are other people who are like, well, I don't want to pay $500 to compete.
It's
And for most people, it's not really going to matter, because a game like that, especially, it's not going to make that much of a difference. And when we were having that problem with Kingdom Hearts with the SSD thing, it was, you know, it's the biggest difference that you're going to have is going to be between a PS4 Pro with SSD versus a PS4 standard with an HDD, and that's about 30 seconds. Everything else is between like 12 and 20. The problem is though that that's a 20-minute run versus what something like Cage 3 is going to be a clusterfuck when that comes out. Like, I'm not looking forward to how we're all going to have to deal with that shit, because that's going to be a much longer game. So if you're losing 30 seconds in a 20-minute run, if that runs 4 hours, you know, it's gonna be the case where it's like, okay, well, I want to compete with these people, so I don't know. And of course, a lot of people have different opinions on whether or not they should be separated entirely on the leaderboard, whether it should just be like a check mark that you put, so everyone's runs are grouped together, and then you just, if you want to see one category, or if you want to see, you know, ones that have SSDs, one that don't have SSDs, if you want to see amiibo or no amiibo, you just like hit a button. Other people should say like, oh, it should be entirely separate, like pages, like different completely separate categories. Like for a while, FF15 for a bit had everything together and you checked it off by notches, but now it's like there's a category for PS4, a category for PS4 Pro, for Xbox One, for Xbox One, whatever, because the differences are large enough in that game, because the loading screens are so fucking apparent. That you're changing the run by minutes, even though the runs are identical, they're completely separate categories in order to properly compete, and it kind of makes everything a bit of a mess.
Which just emphasizes why I really hate amiibos, and the fact that they even affect competition to begin with.
Right. Well, the biggest problem is that people started off thinking like, oh, well, you know, we only have these 3 amiibos or whatever, we only have a couple of links and whatever, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. But then people started exploring the other categories, and then more amiibos started coming out, and all these different compatible amiibos with Breath of the Wild started coming out. A lot of them are beneficial. So now, you know, it's if you look at like people who use amiibos, who use as many as they can, which a lot of them now are actually beneficial to pretty much every category. They'll have like 10 toys next to them sitting around. Yeah. And what's worse now is that there are apparently these NFC little things that you can get, these little and they cost like maybe $2 or $3 a pop, and you basically you put the code on them. There's these little chips, and you put the code on them that replicates the code that you find in an amiibo. So now what's happening is that people are taking technically not illegal in the sense that you're going to get arrested, but in the sense that it's not official hardware. You're taking unofficial hardware and modifying your shit to where you can, you know, get instead of buying the toys, you know, fully, you put them on these little chips and then put in the game, which as like a basic speedrun rule that's kind of apparent to every community and always has been and always will be, is that you always base everything on your official hardware, whatever's given access to you by the developers. So that's why like emulators are only allowed when, you know, okay, like if the times are so negligible by like a couple seconds that it really doesn't matter. If you run emulator, fine, but typically emulator for a lot of older games has a huge advantage, so people don't allow it, you know, that sort of thing. Like there's a reason why, you know, but when someone comes out with like an HD port, it's like, okay, that's allowed, you know, and it might be different, but yeah, so like that's caused a bunch of problems, and everyone's fucking bickering about it, and I'm a community, and it's just it's a fucking it's a clusterfuck, and a lot of them kind of let it happen that way.
Damn,
instead of just saying, instead of saying from the get go that, hey, you know, we're gonna not use Amiibo, we're all just gonna agree not to use Amiibo because we don't know how this is gonna go, because we don't know how the category is gonna be, we don't know what future Amiibos are gonna come out that's gonna affect everything. You know, like all this shit, but no, like most people kind of jumped on it, and now it's kind of a big mess.
Yeah. Now there's okay, so another question. Will you be uploading the podcast on YouTube again? The answer is yes. whilst I was doing this, I was setting up another account so that I could start uploading to YouTube again. It's called Bonfire Lit. It has a different tag. It does not have channel art yet, but I am perfectly available to take the saved shit I have on my drive and start uploading them again. Some episodes are going to be not transferred over to the new account because I don't have them anymore, but as far back as I can, I will do my best to. So, yeah, and a lot of those old episodes, fuck them anyway. So, what else? What do you think of modern Ninja Gaiden games? I don't play them. Not because...
So, what's the line for modern?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, you talking like Yaiba?
I'm guessing Ninja Gaiden Xbox and up.
Yeah, if that's the like drawing point, then I'm all about that Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2.
Those were pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, I know,
Three came
I
out.
hear him. But just open the fucking door and...
Three came out.
Oh, 3. Because that's another dividing point too. Like post Itagaki, so you got like 3 and then Yaiba.
The
Black to Razor's Edge.
Black to Razor's Edge. From that era, I don't know. Actually, I tried playing them quite a little bit. Like I got them on. I have Black for the PlayStation 3, and both 1 and 2. Or was it Gaiden? I don't know. They have so many different fucking... Yeah, Sigma. Yeah. I got those versions, and I played them for a little bit, and I like them. I absolutely do like them, but something about it just isn't all that comfortable to me, like the way you do inputs. Like, it feels a little sluggish in a weird way. So I need to put more time into it before I can get comfortable with it. But yeah, I have shit tons of fucking respect for Ninja Gaiden players. I just don't put that kind of time into those games myself. But never gonna say never, you know.
Ninja Gaiden 2 put me in a bit of a fever dream at one point. After you get the scythe, one of the things that I did, and I, for the longest time, because I don't actually own any of the, aside from Razor's Edge, which I got it for like $10, which is why I own it. I don't actually own any of the other Ninja Gaiden games. So when I was playing Ninja Gaiden 2 at my best friend's house, long ass time ago, like maybe 10 years ago or so, maybe even more than that, maybe a little bit less, I was going through the game, and I eventually got the scythe. And after I got the scythe from the arena thing, the arena boss fight, the next stage put me on this airplane.
Yeah.
And I'm inside the halls of the airplane. And like I said, this is where the fever dream began. I started fighting, and I was doing this thing as Rio. I was hopping from shoulder to shoulder of each target, lopping their heads off while doing so. It was one of the coolest fucking things I'd ever seen. And I hadn't played the game since that day. I really want to get my hands back on it, but it left a very, very good impression on me, obviously. And for the longest time, I thought, did that actually happen? Maybe I just didn't see that right. But then later on, it was confirmed that actually did fucking happen. So, yeah, Ninja Gaiden's kind of really fucking great.
Yeah. So, what else? What other questions do we have? Would you buy a... Oh, how Sonic Generations? I do not know because I have not played it yet.
It's great.
Yeah, I've heard wonderful things about it. I just have not put the time into it myself.
It's a pretty game.
Yeah. What else? Would you buy a Dante amiibo if there ever was one? Absolutely. I don't see why not. Alright.
I just wish amiibo were statuettes rather than fucking physical DLC.
Well, those dioramas are fucking whack, so if anybody has any other questions, throw them out now.
I actually do have somewhere I got to be in about 20 minutes or so, so I'm going to go ahead and bounce.
That's fine. Go ahead and duck out, my guy.
I will.
So,
y'all go die.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So after this, yeah, how do you feel about NK likely nuking your ass first? If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. You know? Nothing to be done about it. What am I gonna do? I don't have access to anti-ICBM technology. I just gotta take that on the chin. Oh well. Thoughts? Have you stolen someone's burst yet? No. Not yet.
Is that something you can do in the game, or is it just a jam thing, or what?
No, it's not a jam thing. I think it's just
Anyone can do that.
Yeah, I think anybody can do it. Thoughts on the Injustice series? I don't like watching it.
I'm not into NetherRealm games.
Yeah, I do not enjoy watching it. I've not put any substantial amount of time into either Injustice or MKX. But as far as Injustice goes, like I'm watching The Recipe with Tasty Steve and Sajam, and like just going through like the way the game functions. It's interesting, but that's more just because I like watching Tasty Jam. You know what I'm saying? And if it weren't for them, I probably wouldn't give as much of a shit. In fact, I know that I probably wouldn't. It's just a purely visual bias thing. It's just not something that I really enjoy watching all that much.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that good to me.
Well, it doesn't help that the fighting animations while you're in combat aren't that great, and there's a whole video dedicated to that, which is fucking sick.
Yeah. Thoughts on the final version of Neo? I like the game a lot. It took me a little while to really get into it. Like, most of it was... It's a combination of muscle memory conflicts between, like, Devil May Cry with the D-pad functionality, where, like, I would try to do raw... Like, for some reason, I would try to stance swap with the D-pad, even though you do it with R1 plus face button, which makes sense, but it didn't at the time. And then there's also, like, conflicts of muscle memory with Dark Souls, because, like, I would try to heal with square, and that wouldn't fucking work. It's just... It took me a little while, but after I got used to it, I really started to enjoy it. But something... I don't know, a couple of games came out. The last boss fight that I remember doing was the Umibozu, so I was not that far into the game. I've not done any of the DLC, but, yeah, now that fucking, no, I know what happened. Nier came out. But now that Nier's gone, I can probably go back comfortably, so, you know. We'll see. But now fucking Pyre's on the plate, and there's just so much shit to do. So much shit to do anymore.
One brief passing comment regarding Injustice. Every intro that Joker has in Injustice 2 is super lame. It feels a little out of character.
Hashtag angry bat.
Has he ever said that one?
Yes, he does.
Oh god, see, this is what I mean. I don't know. He seems a lot less sinister, and he seems a lot more
Mimi.
generic. Yeah, he's got, like, I don't know, there just seems to be a lot less mind games going on with his personality, or how they wrote him in Injustice 2. And
They call me
Injustice
Michael
2,
Mad
or
memes.
Injustice in general is, like, fucking hailed for its writing, but I don't see it. I don't know. I guess I'm the outlier there.
Well, I saw they had Starfire, and apparently there's, like, they killed Dick Grayson for some fucking reason.
His name's Dick.
Well, I mean, yeah, but, you know, I like Nightwing. But
I have no feelings one way or the other for Nightwing. I stopped following DC around that era.
Yeah. But, like, even then, like, they kill him off, and like, Nightwing was cool. And then it's like Starfire is, like, pissed about that, like, and something that had to do with, like, young Batman, who's Damian Wayne. It's just, I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. You killed a character I liked. Eat shit. So, but yeah, I need to get back into Neo and do so soon. So, yeah, that's really about it, guys. Thanks for hanging. Oh, Dick is the new dead man in the Unjust Ass comics? Fuck off. Or you could have just not done that. Fuck these stupid games. Okay.
Pick up the man.
Thank you guys for hanging out for this episode of the Bonfire Lit Comfy Cast. Let's find someone to host, shall we? While I do that, Pokey, what are you going to do after this?
Clean up my apartment.
Oh, okay.
Hardcore. Get something to eat.
Sure. When you get back, you up for some Guilty Gear?
If I have the time to, absolutely.
Okay.
I would love to jump into some more biking.
So, and I might be streaming a little bit later on, depending on what I choose to do for the day. I need to write some more shit for what is now... It's no longer the debug mode video, it's now just the training mode video. So now I'm working on that. And, yeah. So, I'm going to send you guys over to one Spike Vegeta. Do me a favor and say hi to Spike for me. He is running... or he is practicing Crash 200% for the Insane Trilogy, I believe. later on, guys.
The meme. All right, bye.
All right, we're good.
Excellent.
Thank God.